Over the weekend, I got to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and also Paramount has confirmed that they're going to go ahead and do a Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Let's talk about that, and also a little bit of a review here on That Park Place. I watched a movie last night, and this is something that I loved doing so much before 2020. This was something that I would look forward to every single time. I would have countdown timers on my phone for when I got to take my family to the movie theater and all of us just sit there and take in a great story together. And I got to do that last night. I went to my local cinema and saw a movie. Well, guess which movie? And I walk in, I get to write off the purchase of tickets with the fact that I do all of this as a business. I now get to write off my tickets as a tax write-off. That means I get a discount on my taxes to the amount of the tax on those tickets. Doesn't mean I get to write them off entirely here, but I walk in, I'm ready to buy the poster, I'm ready to get the popcorn bucket, and all they had was the Mufasa popcorn bucket, which is a little African drug. And the poor guy at the counter, I pointed at it and said, "Hey, that's a cultural appropriation." And he goes, "Oh, yeah. Why didn't anyone say anything about that?" My whole family is rolling their eyes at me. Vash, have you seen Sonic the Hedgehog 3 yet? Did you take time off yesterday to go see Sonic 3?
No, not a chance. But well, that's okay though, because I knew a lot of people who did. Some people were rushing to the theaters to see this thing, and that is fantastic. The enthusiasm behind this film is great, and you can feel it. It's quite amazing. I think Nolan was dressed up at yesterday's stream for Marvin at Toontown TV. That was a lot of fun. And while we were on the pro show, well, we were able to learn in real time that Paramount going forward with a Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which is just absolutely phenomenal based on the success of 3. And it's got, stiff competition with Mufasa. Still, though, they're very excited and very enthused about the box office response to this film.
Yes, and it's well deserved. I got to say, and maybe I'll do a review if you guys want my thoughts on the movie. I don't feel like I need to give all of them here. I know that I talked to Pro last night. He went to a different showing than me, and we're not in the same town, so of course he went to a different showing than me. The movie had children cheering the entire time. And that was really something to watch. And it's not a kitty movie. It's not like it's not the kind of movie where you just put fart jokes on the screen, although I do think there might be a fart joke or two in there, and just hope that the kids will laugh because, oh, he said but, whatever. This is a movie that has built up over 2 previous movies. It was a rocky start, obviously, with that ugly Sonic stuff. And I don't think they would be where they are now if they actually kept that ugly Sonic design. This is becoming a more fully realized world. I will say that they are pulling away from some of the human side characters. I know there's a lot of people who really didn't like those human side characters, but they did flesh out the world a little bit more, provided them more opportunities for comedy. I was discussing this with my wife a little bit last night. The humans act more silly than Sonic and Knuckles and Tails. There's actually a lot more jokes that are provided. It's Jim Carrey. It's Jim Carrey. He acts more cartoonish than Sonic and Knuckles and Tails, and obviously Shadow's dark and brooding and all that. Keanu Reeves does a great job as Shadow the Hedgehog. Ever since Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I've worried that Keanu Reeves is going to take me out of it by being the guy that I think of as the guy who goes, whoa, dude, excellent. That was a little bit of typecasting that all of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s had to get past with, the guy who's now known for The Matrix and John Wick and all of that. Excellent job is, what's that?
Baba Yaga.
I am an FBI agent. There's a lot of deep cuts for the Sonic fans. I guess I am doing a slight review here. There's deep cuts right off the bat. Someone is playing a guitar in the first 5 minutes of the film, and that guitar piece is a slight, if you're listening, it's Live and Learn, which does get played later in the which is important to people who have played Sonic Adventure 2, in which I played on the GameCube. back in the day. Probably my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game. Maybe Sonic 2 would be pretty close to the top of the list there. Great film, great film, great movie, a lot of fun. I don't know how they're going to do this without Jim Carrey. And of course, they are going to greenlit a Sonic 4 because these things cost 150 million to make and they're going to make their money back immediately. Then they're going to put this on Paramount Plus, or they might sell them off to Netflix for a little while and make an extra 50 million or something like that in order to do that. There's going to be an entire they will be making an entire Sonic the Hedgehog cinematic universe. I'm sure of it. And they don't have the hangups that Nintendo has, where they're willing to upset the tea table and send things back. They're fun movies. I actually would love to see a Jeff Fowler comedy that doesn't have Sonic the Hedgehog in it, just to see if he's capable of directing things that are just funny, which is essentially what these are. Lots of good moments and things like that. So, Vash, you need to go see it because I would love your thoughts on it. I also need to point out this is the popcorn bucket that I poor the poor attendant was trying so hard not to get himself fired there. But yeah, that's the African popcorn bucket that has nothing to do with the film. And one thing that was interesting in the credits that I want to point out, and forgive me, I'm kind of all over the place on this because I want to get to this one credit that showed up in the middle of everything. Yes, there are post-credit scenes. Yes, they do introduce new characters. And for those of you who are Sonic fans, there's a character that you probably hate that's going to be in the next one, but hopefully they won't mess that up. She's got a hammer. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 director Jeff Fowler talks artistic consultant Jim Carrey and Sonic 4 chatter. We'll see. In the middle of the credits, it just says artistic consultant Jim Carrey. Not in big letters. In fact, if you weren't really paying attention to the credits, you might not see it. It's not there right next to assistant for Mr. Carrey, the way they just kind of get those in. But I think Jim Carrey has a lot more influence over these films than just showing up on set and doing his amazing thing. There's a lot of history of this, in fact, with Jim Carrey. And something that I didn't realize, and I want to show you guys this video here. It's from IGN. I know. We don't have people on the red carpet, so we can't do this ourselves. But I want to play this video of Mr. Carrey here.
Suggestions for trailers. I've been, they had an original Grinch poster that I didn't like, and I said, no, it's just a Christmas ball. It's you're making it too bright and too happy. The Grinch is a ghost story told around a campfire. He has to be a mystery. So we had the broken bulb and stuff. And people won awards for these posters that I kind of came up with.
Literal handed. How would Gerald and Ivo interact with the Grinch?
I think they'd get along great because it's the disdain, gang. There's just nothing but disdain for humanity. Even back.
So it's interesting, of course, they are advertising the Sonic the Hedgehog movie using classic take-ups of classic Christmas posters, including that Grinch poster here. I think Jim Carrey is the kind of guy that probably you don't put him in a film just to show up and be like, oh, hey, there's Jim Carrey over there. He's doing all of this work. And I mean, he eats up the entire screen. When he is on screen, even though you've got, brightly colored hedgehogs and echidnas and two-tailed foxes, he's Jim Carrey from the 90s. And whatever they have done to convince him to be the Jim Carrey of the 90s here in a fully a full cartoon superhero universe, they need to keep doing it. I think he is not retired, no matter what he pretends to say on that matter. But I think he really made these films soar in a way that people wouldn't pay attention in the way that they have in the past. Vash, is there anything you want to throw in here? Forgive me. I've talked about this for a lot longer than I thought I was going to talk about it.
You're fine. Look, Jim Carrey, for all of his eccentricities, especially lately, the guy's brilliant. I mean, you can't take that away from him. Tremendous actor. Obviously had his height in the 90s was unparalleled, especially with his comedic acting and so forth. It's interesting how his career kind of dropped off just a little bit, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog series has really reinvigorated it. It's interesting how they're incorporating it even more through this artistic consultant role. It's just absolutely fascinating. I hope they retain his services for future installments in this franchise. We'll have to see where the story goes, obviously, and if that can.
Well,
can
all I'm going to say, spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He dies in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Well, he's still there. So it doesn't quite matter how this one ends, does it?
Okay, okay, that's fair. And I think William Thompson actually had a great super chat pertaining to all of this.
Yes,
something I want to ask you about.
Let's go ahead and put this up here. I'm with Weird WDW Pro for 10. Hail Jonas Campbell, my YouTube hero. No, you are. And hail VashSky. Good morning and Merry Christmas. Do you think this could lead to other beloved Sega game movies? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Vash, do you want to react to this first?
Oh yeah. So the prospect of translating other Sega games into these films, I think, is tremendous. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Do you think, Jonas, if they do some kind of crossover with their established franchise in Sonic the Hedgehog and kind of do that almost Super Smash Brothers universe on the Sega side of things, that Nintendo might be then persuaded to pursue their own Super Smash Brother Nintendo Cinematic Universe? I mean, that's the thing.
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Nintendo classically does not do what everyone else does. It's generally the other way around. Most people are like, well, Nintendo did a Super Smash Brothers, so we need to do a Multiverses or a PlayStation All-Stars or whatever the name of that one is. So Nintendo is kind of crazy and off doing their own thing. There's obviously the separation of them being a Japanese company with the West trying to catch up. Obviously, PlayStation's Japanese as well, but I don't think that Nintendo would move fast enough to do a Super Smash Brothers movie before 2089 when we're all dead and gone. They're so funny about the way that they do things. I think this is why we don't already have a Donkey Kong movie greenlit, where like there's a Shinobi television series in the works right now. Or maybe that one I think is a movie, but there's a Golden Axe series that's in the works right now. It's going to be a comedy, by the way, it sounds like. I forget who is in the cast for that one, but what do you guys think? What are the Sega series that need Spaceship Vampire here with a good one. Let's go Rocket Knight Adventures universe. I would love that. That would be awesome. Oh, that takes me back. Siani Reese for $4.99. Hey guys, taking kids this weekend to Sonic. Enjoy it, please. I hope that you enjoy it. It's I'm gonna say this is a strange thing to say. It pushes the limits of PG a little bit, but generally speaking, it doesn't sit there and relish in it. I think that Transformers 1 probably had more language than Sonic 3, if that's any indication, but nobody watched Transformers 1, so maybe that's not a good metric to throw out there. Transformers 1, excellent film. I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot by repeating a crass joke over and over again.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.